Ever been listening to your favorite podcast and think, hey, I want to start my own? Then you need Anchor. It's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First, everyone's favorite word free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can even make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
For the first time ever, Malice regrets his profession when he lays eyes on the love of his life standing side by side with her mom, Tracey, who happens to be one of his most loyal clients. Feeling conflicted, Malice decides to step away from them both until his heart guides him back to the love of his life, Kambridge. Deciding to focus on his relationship with Kambridge, Malice has left a bad taste in several different people's mouths. And things even get worse when Malice decides that Cambridge should have his last name. Between trying to balance his love life with Cambridge and keep his other life a secret, Malice feels his life is spiraling out of control. Things go from bad to worse when Cambridge receives a package in the mail that can turn her whole world upside down. Will the contents of the package be too much for Cambridge to handle, or will she face her problems head on? Hello, my beautiful people, and welcome back to the Bibliophile's Bookcase. I am your host, Erica the Bibliophile, and today's book is A Malice Love Part 2. So we're just going to jump right into it, child. Now, where the first story left off is Malice coming to meet Cam's parents, and when the door opens, he's looking at his client, Tracey. Now, Malice is stunned to find out that, his girlfriend is the daughter of one of his most loyal clients as of lately. So Tracy sends Cam away to get her briefcase, claiming that it's in her car. And as soon as she steps away, she turns to Malice like, "Are you crazy using my daughter to stalk me?" And he tells her, "Bitch, never. I don't know what you thought you had going on, but it ain't that. I didn't even know that y'all two were related, but honey, no." And so Tracy is like, "Does my daughter know that you're a male escort?" And he turns it on her like, "Does your daughter know that you pay for sex? Like, you trying to shame me as if we're not doing this thing together." And so he tells her right off the bat, "Your appointments are canceled. This is done and over with." And immediately she's like, "Now hold on now. Ain't nobody said nothing like that." And it's like, wait, girl, stop. You're learning that the man that you are paying for sex is your daughter's boyfriend. And he tells you, like, of course, we can't do this no more. You like, wait a minute. So you plan to still sleep with your daughter's boyfriend? Trifling. But Tracy been trifling, though. It's like you let your daughter get beat on and don't do nothing about it. Because I'm like, in the first story, how we talked about she did all that hooping and hollering, talking some for years I've let you beat on my daughter, you beat on my daughter again, and I'ma leave. And she ain't did nothing. And so, Cam comes back none the wiser, taking him around the house, giving him a tour, and they go to the basement and he sees a door with multiple locks on it. And when he asks Cam, like, what this door go to? And she's like, "Nobody knows. My dad is the only one who has the key." So he's thinking, obviously this is where the gold is, and keeps it in the back of his mind to let his dad know about it. So when they sit down for dinner, Kason and Tracey, like, they immediately start going in on Malice. But, he handles them with no problem because it's like, I see what y'all trying to do. And, we could go tit for tat in this bitch if y'all want to. But Kalina brings out Cam's violin and she starts playing while Kalina is singing. And it's Beyonce's song that she dedicated to Jay-Z, like "I'd Rather Be With You" or "I'll Die For You." I forgot what it was. And at some point Cam starts singing with Kalina, and Malice is uncomfortable because he knows that those words are meant for him. and he knows that this relationship ain't gonna last long, once everything comes out into the open. Cat, who ain't got shit else better to do, is following Malice everywhere he goes, taking pictures of him and his clients, even though, like, they're not lovey-dovey in public. It's like you see them walking into the hotel together, or and you see them coming out together. And so she also has his calendar synced to her phone. So she knows every time he's hooking up with somebody. So she sees Tracey's name and Googles her. And so when she finds out that she's Cam's mom, she immediately, like texts Malice and tell him, you better come over right now unless you want your girlfriend to know that you fucking her mom. And so when he walks in the door, he take his good old time. He looking stressed. He look like he really don't care about too much or nothing. And so, oh my bad, she didn't tell him yet. She was just like, you need to get over here right now. And so when he comes through the door, she's like, you want me to tell your girlfriend that you banging her mom? And he just shrugged his shoulders and walk right out, like attempts to walk out the door. And she's like, I love you. I don't understand why you doing me like this. And she just wants him to care about her so bad, but he doesn't. It's like, girl, y'all do not have that type of relationship where it would be a relationship. Like, he literally fucks you and you still pay him for it. Like, I don't understand how you think it would ever be anything different. Um, and so he leaves back out the door because he's like, I'm not doing this with you. And so it's been 2 weeks, and Malice, cut Cam off. He didn't tell her anything, won't answer the phone, nothing like that. She's been driving by his house, looking to see, looking up online if he's in jail or dead, but ain't, seeing no charges and ain't no obituaries popped up. So, but she feels played. She's like, I opened myself up to him. I thought we were building something, and he just completely cuts her off. So then Connor pops back up, even though she told him in the last book that it was over with, because he popped out the word nigga and was just real comfortable saying it. So, he's refusing to accept that she broke up with him, and he's like, I'll give you a little time. You still upset, whatever, but you know, we gonna always be together. And she's like, you gonna have to kill me. And he's like, let's not speak anything into existence. So she's feeling a little afraid because she's like, is this nigga really just starting to kill me? Um, and then Malice also pops up professing his love to her. And because at first she wasn't trying to hear. She like, nigga, I've been looking for you, ain't seen nothing, heard nothing from you. So wherever you was at, go back there. But he tells her he was scared um, of heartbreak because he's never been in love with anybody, and he just don't want her to play with his feelings. And so now they're back on. So Tracey is still calling and texting him, asking for sex from different, and it's like every time she calls from a different number, he blocks that number. It's like, girl, no. Shit, this is my girlfriend. I'm not still having sex with you. That shit is over with your obsessed ass. And you know, Malice had Cam at his house, she spent the night. And she calls him like, is Cam over there? Because me and her dad been calling her back to back and she not picking up the phone. And he walked straight over to her phone. Not one missed call on her phone from either one of them. He like, man, you don't care about this girl. So I don't even know why you trying to fake the funk right now. Get the fuck off my phone. It's over and done with. Um, and so Kat is still following Malice around, and she sees that he spent the whole day with Cam, like they being lovey dovey, being a couple. Um, he took Cam to the building that he wants to buy for his shop, and when they pull off from the building, Kat calls the realtor and buys a building. She's like, how much is the building for? And he's like, no, I'm saving it for somebody. And she's like, how much? I'll pay more. So she pays $300,000 for the building, to fuck with Malice, hoping that that will get him back. Which I don't understand how, because it's like you literally bought the building that he told you about in confidence, and you know that he has plans for it, so you just buy it from him. Like, girl, if anything, that's gonna piss him off more. Like, what is you talking about? Um, and so it's time for their trip, Malice and Cam. So Malice opens up to Cam about his family on their trip, telling her that um his family are drug dealers, and she promises not to tell anybody, even though she's on. They're both still unknowingly using each other for their parents, but she promises. She's like, I know, thinking subconsciously, I know my dad wants this information, but he's finally opened up to me, so there's no way that I'm gonna turn my back on him. So Cam is acting different. She's having mood swings, like she's catching an attitude, cussing him out, and then she's being moody, like, I'm so sorry, I don't know why I'm acting like this. And in the middle of like one of her fits, a woman approaches them, like, propositioning them for sex, like, I'll give y'all a deal. And Cam goes off. She's like, bitch, get a real job. We're not about to pay to fuck you. We don't get down like that. And, of course, Malice feels away because he's been thinking, like, how am I going to tell her that this is what I used to do and this is how I make my money? So, of course, when hears her going off like this, he's like, man, there's no fucking way I could tell her what I do. But he also tells her, you ain't need to do all that, doing all that hooping and hollering and talking to that woman like that. Like, a job is a job. How people make their money, you shouldn't feel no way about that. As long as, like, they're consenting adults and they're not hurting children, they're not hurting other people, there's no way you should feel that strongly about this and doing all of what you do. But of course, Cam is like, I can't understand how people do that. That's the most disgusting thing you could ever do. I would never. So he don't tell her shit. But they actually end up getting married though. And when they get married, he lets her know. He's like, I don't care what happens. We are never getting a divorce. I'm telling you right now. And so, of course, she thinks he's just being possessive and cute and like, sure, no problem. But he's like really foreshadowing his own future because it's like, if she find out this shit, we married now, so she's just gonna have to fucking deal with it. Um, and Cam texts her group chat of Kate, Kalina, and Shelly, letting them know that they got married. And Kate and Kalina was sitting having dinner with their parents, and this heifer screams out loud, but she don't tell them like why she's screaming. She just claimed to be excited for something else. And because Cam hasn't texted Tracey or like said anything to her since she's been on vacation, she hacked into her iCloud, going through her stuff to find out that they got married. And she's also been watching the videos they've been making while on vacation of them having sex. I'm like, so you watching your daughter have sex? Like, Tracey is so creepy. It's not even funny. Um, and she's really feeling away because she feel like that should be her, and because he cut her off. So she goes to Cam's shop and destroys it with a bat. Because for some reason, she now thinks that she's in love with Malice, or she's like she's obsessed with him. Because there's no way she thinks that she's in love. Because once again, you are just another woman he is having sex with. Um, and so then she goes home after she done destroyed the shop with a bat, goes into their shed, and she gets some type of solution that she claims is made in the family, and she wipes down Cam's whole room. So it's like, whatever's in there, something ain't right, because you only wiping it in her room, and then, you know, basically blaming your daughter, who's really like innocent in the whole thing. Um, so just like Kat, she thinks she and Malice is gonna be together in the end. So it's like basically you finna kill your daughter over some dick. So anyway, Kason put a listening device in Cam's bag, so he has Malice on tape telling her that his daddy and brother are drug dealers. And Kason sends Corrupt like one gold bar with a note that says LOL. So now that Cam and Malice are back from their vacation, Cam goes home and she's telling Kay, look at my bag. I got a gift for you and Kalina. I want you guys to see it right now. And he pulls out the listening device instead and says, what is this? It looks like a listening device. So, of course, as soon as he says that, she snatches it and rushes into Kayson's office, like, what the hell is this? And he's on the phone, like, I'm gonna call you back because a disrespectful child just walked into my office. So he chokes He chokes Cam out and beats her with the belt again. And so, she starts screaming bloody murder for Cade, and he rushes in and pushes their dad away, and Tracey done rushed in. So he turns to her like, can you say something to him? And this bitch says, well, she shouldn't have disrespected her father. I'm sure she sassed at the mouth. He don't beat her for no reason, which is a completely motherfucking lie because that's all he do is beat her for no reason because she don't do nothing. She's literally like, she strives to be the perfect child and he beats her, just because it's a fucking Wednesday. Um, so the next morning, Tracey comes into Cam's room with a breakfast tray, trying to be all sweet. And she tells her that Kalina told her that they got married, which of course Cam doesn't believe. And Tracey says, if she promises to get an annulment, she won't tell Kason, but if she doesn't, she's gonna tell. So Cam tell her do what she gotta do because you gonna do that anyway. And what was that bullshit that you said last night about you sure that I sassed at the mouth? I never talk to that man crazy. I'm if I'm not anything, I'm respectful to both of y'all. So what the fuck are you talking about? Of course you don't say all that. And so Cam is on the phone with Malice when she walks into her store to see it destroyed. And, of course, she's screaming. So he's like, what's going on? You know what, babe, I'm on the way. So when she hangs up with him, she calls her parents, which I do not understand why. I would not call them for shit. And she calls Kate. So when they walk in, Malice got there first. So he's consoling her, like, don't worry about it, babe. We're going to get this taken care of. We're going to find out who did it, just being there for his wife. But Tracey comes in and immediately starts blaming Malice, talking about one of his hoes did it. So he looked her dead in her face and said, who my hoes, Tracey? Name at least one of my hoes right now and I'll give you $1,000. And so Kason tries to chime in and it's just a lot of arguing back and forth. But I'm on Malice's side. It's like, who you talking to? How you know I got hoes? What hoes? What hoes are you talking about? And how are you just so quick to blame this on me? Because she's like, your shop been here for this long. Ain't nothing happened till you got with him. So I know one of his hoes did it. And it's just like, name my hoes. Name my hoes. We dropping shit? Name my hoes, Tracy. You can't do it, can't. Shut the fuck up. And so while they arguing back and forth, Cam just puts her hand over her ears because she's like, man, I can't do this shit no more. I don't want to hear this shit no more. But it makes her uh, pants leg rise, showing the welts on her ankles because I'm pretty sure she put her hands over her ears and like drew her knees up to her chest. So Malice goes off and he gets in Kason's face and says, hit her again, motherfucker. I dare hit her again. And Kason like trying to talk slick, talking about you ain't nothing but a bit. And Malice lays his ass out, gave him a quick 2-piece, and he was down for the count. And Tracey starting on all this screaming, talking about you gonna call the police. And when the police show up, Cam looks at her like, so you really called the police because your husband got knocked out, but not for the shit that happened to my fucking shop? Like, what is we talking about here? And it's like, for real, like, y'all stood in my shop. You talking about one of his hoes probably did it. Ain't nobody called the police and all that time. But because your husband got laid out, that's when you call the police? Like, what about my shop though? So y'all really don't care. And so when the police show up and ask Kaysen if he wants to press charges, Cam is like, wait, before you answer that though, Mr. Police Officer, if somebody walked into the station and had bruises, like say, and she lifts up her leg to show them, he says, well, we would ask them who did it, and the person would be arrested immediately and ask them if they want to press charges. And so she turns to her dad like, so what you want to do? And he's like, let him go. Yeah, like that's what the fuck I thought. And so Malice thinks that Kat is the one who destroyed the shop because it's like, of course, this bitch playing with my mind and she fucking with my wife now. So after they get some of it cleaned up, because he's thinking like she ain't gonna want to do nothing. Cam like, nope, I'm not gonna lay down. We finna get right back, and I'm finna get all my shit back in order. So they go to the bank. They have plans on opening a joint account and also, like adding money in there. And Cam is going to apply for a loan for the repairs to her shop instead of having the premium raised on her insurance. So she's not going to tell them nothing about it, which I'm like, smart. It's like, you pay all that fucking money for insurance, but the moment you actually use the shit, they start, doubling up on prices. Nobody has time for that. And so the woman who assists them is also a former client of Malice. And it's like, as soon as she see them together, she's like, how can I help y'all? What y'all doing? And so when Cam explained everything that they doing, she like throwing shade. Like, I didn't know that friends did this type of stuff with each other. And of course, again, Cam is none the wiser. She's like, we not friends. We're married. And this bitch spits out her coffee. And so Malice is looking at her like, bitch, what the fuck is your problem? Because I would have been like, as the wife, I'm like, you got something you want to say? Like, why is you acting like this? Um, which I don't understand. Because it's like, okay, yeah, y'all paying to have sex. But just because y'all bitches is white, y'all don't think he fucking black women too? Um, but anyway, so after they leave, they go to the realtor for Malice's building because Cam gave him $50,000 to put with, I think, because he had 200,000, but she didn't want him to like spend all his money, so she agreed to give him 50,000. And but when he goes, the man lets him know like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I sold it. The lady came in and offered an extra 100K, so the building is gone." So he had Cam step out like, "Baby, step outside, and I'll be out there in a minute." He pulls out his gun like, "Man, who the fuck bought my building?" And so he said, "It's a woman by the name of Catherine." Whoop de whoop. So he takes Cam to his house like, "You know what, baby? I'm gonna help you get settled down, and I gotta step out real quick, and I'll be back." So before he makes it over there though, Kat gets a call from the woman who works at the bank. Like, Malice was just up here. He showed up with a young black girl claiming that they were married. It's like, but y'all motherfuckers is also married. How are y'all now mad that this man is married? Y'all don't know the first thing about his ass, except that he come to have sex with y'all pay, and he leaves. Like, I'm just baffled by the married women feeling entitled to this man because they paying him for sex. So Kat is crushed because it's like he really went and married this bitch. After I done gave him 12 years of my life, it's like you gave him 12 years of service of being a customer. You are not his woman. Y'all have not been in a relationship all this time. Y'all don't spend no fucking time together. Like, whew. And so she cries herself to sleep, but she's awakened by Malice having a gun pressed to her forehead. And it's like, tell me why I shouldn't blow your shit out right now. And, why would you mess up my woman's shop? And she trying to be cute. Like, the only time I get sweaty is when I'm riding your cock. And it's just like, Gross. But okay, I do have just a little bit of criticism for Bianca. In this story, because there were so many different people and like having different point of views, they should have been written a little bit differently. Because Kat, coming from her background and the type of woman that she is, she's still written as if she's a black person. Like the terminology and how she's talking, and even kind of how she's acting, it's more so given black woman instead of the white woman that she is. If that makes sense, it makes sense in my mind, but it might not be coming across right. But it was just like, I don't know, it should have been worded differently. But and she's like, I would never, so I wouldn't do anything like that. And she's trying to get him aroused, but he tells her, this relationship is over. I tried to be cool with you, thinking we could remain friends. And then I'm like, that's another thing. Y'all are not friends. So there was no way that you were ever going to be maintain any type of relationship with her, because as soon as you stop having sex with her and stop making money from her, where does that leave y'all? Nowhere. So y'all were never going to remain friends. Um, so Trent gets the news that he's being moved to Arkansas as soon as a bed is available. And the warden lets him know, he's like, man, I fought as hard as I could because, the whole 22 years that you've been in here, you never given me any problems. You've actually been like a model inmate. But the governor told him that his hands were tied and there's nothing that they could do about it. And he knows this is nothing but Cason's doing. So he's like, you know what? That's cool, whatever. And as soon as he's leaving out of his office, he's being told, you got a visitor, so come on, just keep walking this way. And it's from Malice, who wants to introduce him to his wife as well as talk to him. And so he gets the shock of his life when he sees Cam walk in. And it's like, oh, look at my daughter. And they have a nice visit. Um, Cam sends her off for a little while so he can he runs it all down to him and is basically looking for advice. He's like, what should I do? And Trent tells him, you need to put everything out on the table and let her know. So, let her know that the relationship is built on lies and then see where they can go from there. And so he also lets both of them know that he's being moved. And Cam offers, she's like, my dad is a judge. I can ask him to help you. And Trent says, no, whatever you do, do not let your dad know that you talk to me, you see me, you even know I exist. And she's like, well, I can't promise that because, it's not right what's being done to you. And Malice tells him, once my wife got an idea in her head, she's not going to let it go. So, they're none the wiser. Like, even Malice doesn't know that Trent is her actual father. That's something that's just between Kason, Tracey, and Trent. And so Malice is getting fitted for his suit for the players' ball that the Bailey family is having. It's something that they have every year. Um, and when they go home, Malice and Cam are greeted by multiple police cars outside his house. They lay Malice down out on the ground, and three more like black trucks pull up. And Kason steps out, and it was like, of course, your bitch ass would do some shit like this. You get knocked the fuck out, then you want to use your power to, intimidate people. And so he has multiple guns pointed at Malice's head and says, he could have him arrested for kidnapping. And Cam was like, he didn't kidnap me. I came with him willingly. And he's like, you don't know what you're talking about. And that's not what I'm going to say. And he's like, you have 3 seconds to end the relationship or I'm going to blow his brains out right now. And so she's trying to refuse, but Malice tells her that it's over. And she's like, what? And he's like, it's over with. Just let it be what it is because he's never going to let us be together. And Casey drags her away into one of the black trucks, and the police proceed to beat Malice until he passes out. And so when he wake up after being looked at by the doctors, Corrupt is walking back and forth with guns, like, I can't believe they did this to my motherfucking son. And he tells Malice that he has to leave her alone now. And Malice says, I can't. That's my wife. And Corrupt's like, she's your what, motherfucker? And so his mom asks him, is she worth it? And, there's a little back and forth. And she's like, son, if you tell me that she's worth it right now, I'm not going to ask you no more. And I'm, 10 toes behind you. And so he says, yes, I love her with everything in me. And he also tells he makes the statement, if it wasn't for dad. And she whips around like, what? And the dad standing behind the mom like, don't do that. Don't tell her that. And she sees what's going on and she's like, look me in my face. If it wasn't for your dad, what? And he mentions the gold and mama goes off. She's like, I know after all these damn years, you're not still talking about that damn gold. You have done just fine without it and you gonna continue to do fine without it because you're gonna let this go. And you're going to tell your son that you love him no matter what. And so, since he already in the process of spilling tea, Malice just go ahead and tell her the rest. Like, well, I was also escorting, I've been doing it since this long. And she turned around and like started beating the daddy up. She's like, this is all your fucking fault. Tell your son that you love him and you accept him no matter what. And you are going to let this shit go. And so, of course, after Casey done came and snatched her up, Cam is under now lock and key. Casey has taken everything away from her cell phone to her work phone, and he has all the calls like transferred to his phone. He done took her laptop and her desktop, and he also has two men like following her everywhere. So there's no way that she could sneak off and talk to Cam. I mean, she is Cam. Talk to Malice or interact with him any type of way. So, Cam and Shelly make plans to sneak her out to the players' ball because Shelly like, I know you going um to support your in-laws and support your family, and she's like, no, because I got these two niggas that follow me everywhere, and she's like, girl, boo, call up your the girl who make your dresses and tell her to make you something because you gonna be out there tonight. Um, and so when she gets there, uh, Malice introduced her like officially to his parents as his wife and his friends. And Kat is also there, and she's not on the list. But as she's making her way to him, and she has like a brown envelope in her hand, she's removed by security, and he looks up his dad looking down with a drink in his hand like, yeah, nigga, I got your back. Which is so crazy because it's just like, man, all his life he's been feeling like the black sheep outside of his family. Now they finally like clicking together. um so Malice drops her off at home and they have sex together. And he's like, it ain't gonna be like this always, I promise. I'm gonna get you up out of this. I'm gonna figure out something. We're gonna get it together. But before the ball, like Shelly brought over some type of dessert, some muffins, some shit that they love of hers that they made. And it had sleeping pills in it. So she was able to knock them out and they leave with no problem. Um, so Cam has Shelly buy some pregnancy tests just to confirm what she already knows. And so there's a delivery that arrives like at the same time. So while she went to go take the test and come back, Shelly is crying like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, honey." And she sees that she's watching a video of Malice having sex with the woman that he claimed he did not know. And then there's also pictures. And when she gets to the last one, it's of Malice and her mom. So, of course, she's devastated. She tells Shelly, pull your car around to the back and, just pull it around because I'm taking it. And she's like, don't do nothing great. Ken, like, man, I ain't trying to hear that shit. So she goes to Malice's and Mayhem's house, and they in there playing the game. She take that shit out and put the disc in there, like, give me that stick. I want to watch the movie. And so, of course, they don't know what's going on. They're like, Mayhem, like, sis, you ain't even let me save the game, but you better be lucky. You know, I love you. She's like, uh, uh. And so, as soon as the video started playing, she got a bat and she like, who is that on the screen? And of course, Malice is devastated. He like, let me explain. She's like, no. Because I distinctly remember me telling you a story about that bitch, of her coming into my shop. And then when I pointed her out the night we had dinner, you swore you didn't know her motherfucking ass. And so she is just taking it back to the whole house. She is fucking that house up. And then we get to the pictures. She like, look at the pictures. He don't want to. He's still trying to explain himself. She's like, pick up. She even gets a gun and points it at him and like, pick it up and look at the motherfucking pictures. Who is that last person in there? And so when he sees that it's her mom, he is upset. He like, babe, no. She's like, no, no. And Mayhem tries to calm her down. And she's like, man, he slept with my fucking mom, dude. And he's like, I know, we could talk about it. And she's like, no, there's no talking. And she goes to get back in Shelly's car. But before she does, she's like, oh, I just want you to know. This marriage is over. And he's like, no, I told you, no divorce. She's like, bet that. Oh, wait. But before that, she's like, I was coming over here to tell you that you were about to be a daddy. And like all this type of shit. She's like, but you can cancel all that shit. And then that's when she tells him, she's like, oh yeah, and I want a divorce. He's like, no way. So she rushes out and she goes to a gun shop and she's telling the man, he like, hey, how you doing? You had a rough day? And she's like, I'm not trying to talk. I want a gun that I can walk out of here with right now. Don't ask me no questions. I just want a gun that I can leave here with right now. So he tells her, have a seat. I'm going to run a background check on you. And as soon as he goes in the back, she leaves because she's like, I ain't got time for this shit. So she goes home and she writes a suicide note and takes a whole bottle of sleeping pills and just lays down, waiting for them to take effect. So the guy from the gun shop calls Cade and is like, don't your sister look like that, that. He's like, man, that's a married woman. Stop fucking looking at her. And why are you asking me about my sister? He's like, nah, nothing like that. So calm your ass down. She came in here trying to buy a gun, but it was something off about her. So, I'm just letting you know, go check on your sister. So he rushes home because he was out with his little yeah. And he like, I gotta go. And he finds Cam, shaking and she's foaming at the mouth. And he's like, oh no, baby, what did you do? What did you do? And that's how the book ends. So I hope you guys enjoyed my review and I hope to see you back for part 3 to wrap this thing on up. Peace and blessings, my beautiful people.